Okay, today we're going to do the autumn harvest cake. The lesson today is marigolds, daisies, and pumpkins. And the pumpkins will be some pressure control, and so you really need to start practicing that. First thing we're going to do is we're going to write on our cake with brown in a number 3 tip. So I'm going to write just slightly kind of up above because I want to have enough room for my pumpkins. So autumn and now harvest. Again, I don't care what y'all write on your cake. Happy birthday, happy anniversary. Just really concentrate on getting your writing to where you want it to be. I have practiced long and hard to get mine to be the combination of cursive and printing that I use. Okay, so autumn harvest. Now I'm going to take a bag with number 3 green, and I'm going to do a little vinage. And today we're going to do some curlicues. So kind of just practice that rounded motion at the top. Don't forget, we are putting a border on this cake, so leave yourself enough room for the border. A lot of this stuff probably will end up getting covered up, but it's a great way to get some practice in. Didn't like that one. Oh, we're not going to start this again. Okay, so once we've gotten a lot of our vinage done, we are going to then put our pumpkins on our cake. And I'm going to do that with orange. And I'm going to do it, number 1, with a number 21. I'm going to start with my center pumpkin. And we really want these pumpkins to kind of look like they're out in the field. So the first thing I'm going to do when I do my pumpkin is I'm going to pipe myself a nice little oval. I'm doing the first pumpkin with a 21. So I've got myself a nice little oval. Kind of gives me a little bit of a marker on where I'm going. I'm going to pipe quite a bit in the center and then kind of ease off the pressure as I get toward the end. And I'm going to do this one in that same arch, going the opposite direction, ease off toward the end. And then the one in the center, lots of pressure, and ease off in the end. And now I'm going to do the ones on the side in a number 8 tip. And again, I'm going to do that same little oval motion. Kind of give myself a little outline on this. Remember, you are putting a border on this cake. I know I keep telling you that. But I don't want you to overcrowd it too much. These pumpkins can be smaller. And I do the inside. Try to build up on it, because we definitely want our pumpkins to be three-dimensional. This one's going to be a little bit bigger than the one on the left side. And there we go. There are our pumpkins. Okay, so then I'm going to put some stems on my pumpkins. And I've got that number 3 with the in the brown. And I'm just piping myself a little stem. And I like to stop piping and kind of pull it to a point. So once I've done that, now I'm going to come through and I'm going to start putting my flowers on. We're going to do the marigold, and you must have at least 4 marigolds on here. And when I do a marigold, I always start it off on a rosette done with a number 8 tip. And of course it just depends on how big of a mound you want. I want 4 of these. You may want to do more than 4. It just kind of depends on you. And then I'm going to do what they call striping a bag for these, because I want 2 colors in the same bag. And for the most part, these are going to be fairly orange. I'm going to move the cake out of the way for just a second. But I do want a strip of yellow going through this. And I'm just going to take, and I find that doing the strip is easier with the spatula because I've got a straight edge on that spatula. And I'm just going to come into the bag, and I'm going to kind of bring it all the way down to the coupler, and I'm just going to simply take that icing and stripe one part of the bag with it. I don't have to have a lot of yellow in there. So once I get that striped, just move that out of the way. I'm going to fill it up with orange. And I'll just fill the bag regular now. And so I'll close off my bag, roll it up. And usually you're going to find that you have quite a bit of color at the very beginning, just that one color that you striped with, and just kind of pipe out a little bit until you start seeing the orange come out. And I'm going to use a number 59 for the marigolds. And again, with the 59, I'm going to have, you notice it's got a large and a small end on this, just like it does with the rose tip. It's just a curved rose tip, but I'm going to have the small end facing up. Okay, so once we've got our mounds piped, we're going to pipe on the outside of the mound, and I'm going to hold this tip at about 20 degrees worth of an angle, and I'm just going to start piping, and I want it to cup just slightly. We're going to come all the way around. Make sure that your icing is not too soft when you're doing this, but then we don't want it too stiff either. And we're just going to keep piping until we get to the center. And there's our first marigold. If you do not like the position of where your color is coming out, I'm seeing very little yellow, so I'm just going to switch the position of my tip. And it's going to take it a minute for it to work on out. Yeah, I like that better, with the yellow coming first. Your little cups don't have to be as precise and as pretty, because remember, the marigold is just simply a cluster of petals. And if you find a spot or two that you don't like the fullness, you can always come through and just add a little bit more to it. I'm going to flip that tip again, just to kind of change the position of the coloring for this one. Because as you know, everything in nature is different. Just continue until you think it's full enough. There's nothing that says you can't add some leaf or some more petals to it. Okay, and there's our marigolds. Aren't you glad we're not doing marigolds on the side of the cake? Okay, now we're going to do our daisies, and I'm going to do that with a yellow, and I'm going to use the 104, but this time the 104, I want that big portion of the tip facing the sky. So the small portion is now going to run with the seam. Just like this. I've got the small portion, the seam's coming to the base of my thumb. And the daisy, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to simply take the bag. I'm going to pipe out just a little bit. Let's go down to the practice board. I'm going to pipe out just a little bit. Stop piping and kind of pull off, okay? And then I'm going to do the same thing, come in the opposite direction. So I'm just going to pipe a little bit out and pull toward the center, okay? It's a lot easier on the turntable, so if you want to practice it on the practice board, move the cake away from the turntable and then bring the practice board up. But I'm just going to simply pipe just a little bit out, pull toward the center. Pipe just a little bit out and pull toward the center. Sometimes just kind of depends on you. Your daisy may only have 8 petals. Sometimes you may want to put 16 petals in there. It just is really depending on you. I'm going to do 12. I'm going to do the 4 on the outside, and then in between each one of those I'm coming back through with 2 . Don't worry about what the middle's going to look like, because we're going to pipe a center. And you're going to have 4 of these on your cake. Daisy is probably one of the easiest flowers there is to do. Just takes a little patience. Again, when you're pulling away, you do not want to have any pressure on the back. Okay, now I'm going to do a couple of daisies with less petals. I'm going to do the 8, and I kind of snuck one in there. Okay, trying to sneak one more in. I'm going to do it over here. And then I'm going to take that orange bag, as soon as I find it, with the number 8 tip, and I'm just going to take a little bit in the center. I want to stop piping, and I'm just going to kind of circle it off. Pipe a little bit, stop piping, circle it off. Pipe a little bit, stop piping, circle it off. Pipe a little bit, stop piping, circle it off. Okay, so now that we have finished with the daisies, I'm going to change over to a 352, and I'm going to start piping some leaves in here. And remember, this is an pumpkin patch, so you're going to have quite a few leaves, and they're all going to go in different directions. Be careful, leave yourself plenty of room for your border. Your leaves can come up and actually sit on your pumpkins if you want. Once I've gotten my leaves piped, I'm going to change over to a back over to my number 3, and then I'm going to do some of the clinging vines, just curlicues. Pumpkin plants are notorious for having these because they need to grab hold of something, and so these little clinging vines will do that for you, and so you want to include those in your cake. And when you're doing this, let's go down to the practice board real quick. It's a very simple motion. You're just going to take it and then give it a little circular motion. That's all you have to do. Okay? Don't drive yourself crazy over them. I think that's plenty for this cake. Okay, so now we're going to pipe our bottom border, and I'm going to do that with a 21. I'm still working on getting your all shells where I like them. I know that's very mean of me. We always start in the back of the cake, and we're just going to start piping. Gonna 1, 2, 3 build up and ease off the pressure and pull away. 1, 2, 3 build up, ease off the pressure, pull away. 1, 2, 3 build up, ease off the pressure, pull away. 1, 2, 3 build up, ease off, and I'm going all the way around the cake with this. I do want to see that tail. I'm seeing a lot of you do beads instead of shells. We're almost there. Okay, now that we're all the way around, we're going to go on and we're going to put some daisies on the side of our cake. I know y'all are like, oh, why do you keep making me put stuff on the side of my cake? Well, quite frankly, I'm getting ready for you guys to be able to do wedding cakes. And a lot of the stuff that is on wedding cakes is always on the side of the cake. So get ready for it. We're going to do 8 daisies. Again, you can mark these if you'd like. Just kind of give myself a little bit of a mark to kind of pinpoint my first ones. And I'm going to tell you, you can do them all in one color, but I'm going to do mine in 2 different colors. And I'm going to start with the yellow ones. And again, I'm going to start in the back of the cake because I want to have plenty of practice. And so I want to start fairly high up. And that's another reason why I always pipe my bottom border first. It helps me center this. And then I'm going to come back up the opposite direction. And don't drive yourself too crazy. We're just going to do 8 petals on this daisy. But the more practice you have on the side of the cake, the better you are. So I'm going to kind of cut off because these videos are getting a little long, and then I'll join you back as I finish off the orange daisies, and then we'll put some leaves on these. Okay, so now we're going to put the leaves on the sides of our daisies, and I have that 352, and I'm just going to pipe a leaf on either side. So all the way around. I like to have my leaves all uniform, go in the same direction. And then I'm going to come back through and I'm going to do the leaf directly across from it. And then once we've gotten that done, we're going to come through and we're going to do our shell border around the outside. I know y'all are getting tired of the shell, but you have other things coming soon enough, so I want to get this shell perfect before we move on. So I'm going to start once again in the back, and we're going to do the shell on top with 16. And remember, I keep saying this, it is an optical illusion. It is not on the side of the cake. It is actually on top of the cake. So we're just going to pipe ourselves a nice little shell all the way around. Just nice and petite. I like that word, petite. This borders your cake, covers up any imperfections that you may have. Kind of like a framework. And voila, we are done. Okay, so there's our autumn harvest.